exclusive channel offers economics classes for interested students. The classes will be handled by Professor R. Sumangalakutty and Professor Bindu Balagopal. Various topics in economics will be discussed through the channel. Interested persons can join. This is an introductory class on econometrics. So what is econometrics? Econometrics comes from two words, economy and measure. Actually, the word is coined by Ragnar Frisch in 1933 and this means economic measurement. So what you do here is measure economic variables or provide an empirical value to economic relationships. So in econometrics, you actually use three branches of study: economics, mathematics and statistics. You use the theories of economics, mathematics and statistics for formulation of econometric models. So why do you need econometrics? You need econometrics because in economic theory, you study about relationship between variables. So what is the relationship between demand and price? There is an inverse relationship between quantity demanded and price. So how do you prove this? How do you create empirical value to this relationship? So that can be done through econometrics. So that is why you need econometrics for understanding economic theory. So when you study the goals of econometrics, you can say that there are three main goals in econometrics. One is testing economic theory, the other is policy making, and the third one is for forecasting. For testing economic theory, when you say there is an inverse relationship between price and economic quantity demanded, you can find out the empirical value of that relationship and see whether it is true. Or in Keynesian consumption theory, Keynesian theory of psychological theory of consumption, whether consumption function is less than income, that can be when income increases, consumption also increases, but by less than the increase in income. That can be proved using an econometric theory, econometric model. And this is also used in policy making. In policy making, that is, if the quantity demanded of a commodity, if the elasticity of a commodity is inelastic, then for the producer, it's not worthwhile to reduce the price. So if you know that the commodity is inelastic, then a decrease in price will not produce an increase in the quantity of commodity purchased. So it is also used in policy making, and it is also used in forecasting events for finding out what is the population. The current population is this much. What is the population in 2030, or what is the growth rate in 2030? All this can be extrapolated using the available data. So forecasting, for testing economic theory, and for policy making, econometrics can be used. Then what is the difference between econometrics and mathematical economics? In mathematical economics, you use equations to represent economic theory. There's nothing other than that. It's simply economic theory represented in mathematical form. So when you say that quantity demanded is a function of price of related commodity, income and taste of the consumer, this can be written in a mathematical form as quantity demanded is equal to B0 plus B1P plus B2PR plus B3Y plus B4T, where P is the price, PR is the price of related commodity, Y is income of the consumer, and T is taste, where B0, P1, B2, B3 and B4 are coefficients of the model. But econometric model is different from a mathematical model. In econometrics, we use all the additional information is also used in an econometric model. That is, we say that quantity demanded depends upon these four factors. But is it so? It is not always so, because quantity demanded can change based on other factors also. If there is a war, if there is a change in policy, if there is the spread of epidemic like that of COVID. In the case of when there was COVID, the structure of demand itself changed. So all these other factors which can influence quantity demanded, these are not included in a mathematical model, but in an econometric model, you can use all this available information to formulate a model. So all the other factors which influence quantity demanded is represented by U, where U is called the random error term. So U is used to represent all the other factors which influence quantity demand. So when you formulate an econometric model, you start from a theory, you collect data based on the theory, then using the data you see whether the theory is correct or not, whether it justifies the theory. If it is not correct, you can reject the theory, reject the model, you can revise it, or you can accept it by revising the theory and collecting data which is compatible with the theory. Traditionally, econometric model follow the following steps. The methodology of econometrics is the first step in an econometric model starts with a theory. So you can either use the demand theory or Keynesian consumption function as the statement of theory. So in Keynesian consumption function, you say that when income increases, consumption also increases, but by less than the increase in income. So that is the start of the theory, which can be tested using econometric model. Then you can explain this theory, convert this theory into a mathematical model. So when you say that y is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2x, where beta 1 is the autonomous consumption and beta 2 is the marginal propensity to consume, you can use that model to explain the Keynesian consumption function. Then this mathematical model can be converted into an econometric model by adding the random error term. Then based on this model, you collect data, and this data can be used to estimate the parameters of the model. And the hypothesis we have taken, that is consumption is less than income, that hypothesis can be tested using the estimated parameters. And based on this, you can forecast what is going to be the consumption expenditure in future, and also this can be used for policy making by the government or agencies. So these are the steps involved in an econometric model, which we will discuss in detail in the next class.